Real World Computer Programming for Kids of All Ages, Step 53. More letters from our international readers, extending across all boundaries of time and space. Let's jump right into it. We have received several more fascinating missives from Homo sapiens and other types of sapiens from across time and space. Hello, Mr. Shannon. I am writing you from a farm where I am learning how to cook and sew and such like things. Being kept very busy with all of that, I would be so pleased if you would tell me how much time I would need in order to also learn computer programming. Is it something that I would have to give my full attention to, ignoring all else, in order to make a success of it? This is from Rebecca Rowena Randall from Sunnybrook Farm, Riverboro, Maine. Thanks for your question, Triple R. Cooking is good because who doesn't like to eat? Sewing is good because who but friends of a textile-free lifestyle do not enjoy donning spiffy togs? But if you want to learn to program, I encourage you to devote a little of your spare time to it. It doesn't have to dominate your time or your life. If you are motivated to learn how to code, simply keeping up with these newsletters 3 to 5 per week and experimenting on the side with personal projects will gradually bring you to your goal. Who knows? Maybe someday you will write an app for robots to create dresses that you have designed. Or perhaps red checkered jackets with lobster-shaped lapels. Feel free to ask specific questions about challenges you encounter along your learning path here, too. Remember, folks, the email to use is idiolectable@gmail.com. And this next question is from Hank Pym of Omaha, Nebraska. I don't mean to come off as too acidic in my criticism, but I take umbrage at your calling mistakes and programs bugs. It seems to me that using this phraseology as an insensitive pejorative aimed at denigrating those little people, I'm referring to Formicidae and such like sentient creatures. Can't you use something else to describe mistakes or problems in code? Thanks for your question, Mr. Pym, and your concern for those who cannot speak up for themselves, ants, bees, wasps, and such. I can assure you that I have nothing against ants as long as they stay on their farm or in the dirt outside. And I love bees for their pollinating prowess and the honey and wax they provide. I'm not so sure about wasps, but that's beside the point. I will endeavor in future to substitute some other word for bugs, perhaps boo-boo or mistake, or anomaly. Note to readers, if you see another question from Mr. Pym in the future, it would be advisable to grab your dictionary or open a tab in your browser at dictionary.com. There I found out that umbrage has nothing to do with umbrellas at all, and Formicidae is a fancy term for ants and related insects. This next question is from Rosa Sharn Judd of Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Sooner or later, my family is going to up and move to California. I am worried about my sister Ruthie and my brother Winfield. I hear there are a lot of people in California who really struggle to make a living. I don't want my sister and brother to end up poor like we are when they grow up. By the way, Ruthie is 12 and Winfield is 10. I think learning computer programming would be good for them. Do you think they are too young to start learning it? Hi, Rosa Sharn. It's good to hear you are thinking about your siblings' future. To answer your question in a word, no. 10 or 12 is not too young to learn about computer programming. Actually, I think 10 or even younger is an excellent time to begin learning the concepts and principles behind programming. Also, the logical thinking it will train them to use may help them in many other areas of life too, even if they don't end up choosing to become computer programmers. I hope you enjoy California when you get here. Next question from Opie Taylor of Mayberry, North Carolina. Say, mister, I had to ask my question at the bottom of the page because my dad said your email address was idiotlecturer@gmail.com, but when I sent my question there, I got an error message. Then I found out It was really idiolectable@gmail.com. I think you should let people know that. Thanks for your efforts to reach out, Opie, and I'm glad you were able to figure out the real email address. I admit the email address is a little odd. Idiolectable stems from the word idiolect, which is a word that refers to each of us having our own way of talking. How you speak is your idiolect. For example, even among English speakers, we can break it down into dialects, say the American dialect of English. Then even within America, there are regional dialects, Southern, Northeastern, Western, etc. Further still, there are dialects and accents in certain cities or even neighborhoods. Your own family or those in your household have, as you may have noticed, their own idiosyncrasies of speech. And finally, you yourself say certain things or commonly use certain words or pronounce them in a particular way, which is unique to you. That is your idiolect. Programmers, too, have their own idiolect when writing in C# or Java or whichever computer language they use. They must strictly adhere to the rules of the language, it's true, otherwise their program won't compile, but how they approach the challenges, which parts of the language they are partial to, and just how they use those parts, differs from coder to coder. Anyway, please write us again with your original question. Next question is from Laura Ingalls of Mankato, Minnesota. I aim to become a teacher someday. Although I am personally most interested in the more traditional subjects, such as the so-called 3 R's of reading, writing, and arithmetic, I do realize that learning something about programming is a good, if not almost necessary, thing for today's scholars. As an introductory subject that I can learn myself and that would capture the interest of my scholars, what would you suggest? Ms. Ingalls, your timing is impeccable. We are about to embark, beginning with the next step, on web technology, and I believe the first section of that in particular is something that will be interesting, if not fascinating, to your scholars. We usually call them students nowadays, by the way, and is not overly technical. And with the tools available today to make this aspect of things an immediately interactive experience with instant results, I believe both you and your pupils will enjoy this next part of the journey. Next question is from Alex the Great Parrot from Brandeis University, Waltham, Massachusetts. Do the chickens have large talons? Asking for a friend. Just joking. I'm wondering if you can explain the difference between adding and concatenating. Concatenating has nothing to do with cats, felines, does it? Nice to hear from you, Alex. No worries, I can be dogmatic in assuring you that concatenation has nothing whatsoever to do with felines. I'd be glad to explain the difference between addition and concatenation. Although related in a way, they are certainly distinct operations. Maybe some examples would help. By the way, crash means that does not compute, which means that won't compile. So we have objects on which to operate, and what they are after you add them, and what they are after you concatenate them. The first one is 2 plus 2. After being added, that's 4. After being concatenated, that's 2, 2. 2 plus TWO, that doesn't compute to try to add it, but concatenated is 2 TWO. I know that you are no bird brain, Alex, and that should shed light on this question you had. It should be noted, too, that the data types involved differ. To add items, they need to be numbers, ints, doubles, etc. To concatenate, they need to be strings. So a more realistic or precise table of the differences is, and then it gives several more examples there of what would happen if you added or concatenated two different things. Next question from Theodore Cleaver of Mayfield, Illinois. Gee, mister, you've shown all sorts of pictures of other animals, but you've never shown any castors. I would like to see some building a dam or chopping down trees or something and stuff. Thanks, Theodore. It's true we haven't shown any beavers busy at their customary occupations. We will keep it in mind for a future newsletter. Keep your eyes as peeled as the bark on an alder tree when your furry friends are fixing to fell them. Next question is from Heidi Spirey from Mayenfeld, Switzerland. Warum ist alles auf Englisch? Ich will eine Computersprache auf Deutsch indexieren. For those who can't read German, Heidi is asking about why everything is in English, and yodels that she wants a computer language that is in German. It's true, Frau Spirey, that C# and most computer languages are in English, using keywords such as if, else, continue, break, while, using, procedure, void, etc. But you can write your own variable names and such, including comments, of course, in German, or any other language you prefer. It is really just a handful of English words you will need to learn. I'm sure a clever girl like yourself can manage it without too much difficulty. If your objection to alles auf English is more due to national pride, you might be happy to know that the Pascal programming language was invented by Niklaus Wirth, a fellow Swiss person. Pascal was the language behind Delphi, and the architect of the Delphi language went on to create C#. So, you see, C# has Swiss roots, in a way. Nebenbei bemerkt, I have relatives on my mother's side, Kallenborn, who were apparently originally from Romanshorn in the Schweiz, am Bodensee. Next question is from Richard Chip Douglas from Los Angeles, California. My father works in the aerospace industry. I want to get into the programming side of things there. Which language would it be best for me to learn? Historically speaking, the C programming language is big in such like industries, aerospace, and other scientific areas. And for better or worse, a lot of programming work involves maintaining existing systems, adding features to and fixing bugs or anomalies in existing software, in other words, old software, much of which was probably written in C. However, of the languages we have used so far and will use in the near future here in this newsletter, I can also recommend C# and Java. Next question is from Jean Louise Scout Finch from Monroeville, Alabama. She asks, I want to dedicate my life to helping out with civil rights issues. Is programming something that would be a benefit for someone with those goals to learn? Definitely, Jean Louise. Just as your brother Jam can do much to help people with his legal endeavors, you also, assuming you choose to learn computer programming, can provide needed support and assistance in that way. Every organization or firm of any size today uses or can use, and probably should use, custom-designed apps to further their ends. It is preferable, too, that these are done in-house so that the knowledge about the program and how it works is there. And when you work on something you truly care about, above and beyond the paycheck, it shows in the quality of the project. Peter Parker from Queens, New York, writes, can software be used to solve old crimes, cold cases? Yes, of course. For example, the DNA which is now being examined to match those with that DNA to those who committed crimes in the past, sometimes many decades in the past, is made possible by the use of technology. And remember, there is no statute of limitations on murder. I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope you find the perpetrator of your Uncle Ben's murder. Next question. Click, squeak, whistle, creak. Squeak, whistle, creak. Click, whistle, creak. Click, squeak, creak. Click, squeak, whistle. That's from Flipper, from Florida Keys, Florida. I could not find a Dolphin English translation tool on Google Translate, but I will assume you're asking about waterproof keyboards. Here's one you might like. And it shows a picture of one of those. Your pointy proboscis might work out just fine with that. I have tried the same approach, but with only partial success. You will probably fare better. That's all, folks. We will publish another set of questions at the end of the next major leg in our journey on web technology. Remember that you can send in a question at any time. See the ground-rattling communique about that just below.